Hi again, and here we are for episode 5 of The Tale of Shaggles and Petrookio. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. Now let's see if Petrookio was able to save Julep from the dam. All day long, Shaggles and the 3 fish waited, watching the pipe with wide, impatient eyes. Lots of water was sucked up the pipe, and many other fish as well, but nothing came back out the other way. Shaggles ran up to the dams a few times, circling them to see if he could catch a glimpse of a claw or a fish fin anywhere, but all he saw were ducks swimming about on the brown water and cows scuffing their hooves along the edges. He caught sight of his master out near the furthest dam, hauling another line of pipe from further up the creek. Shaggles' heart sank. More pipe meant more water being sucked out of the creek. Soon there would be nothing left. And how was Petrookio going to find Julep in this big, horrible mess? Shaggles put his tail between his legs and slunk back to the edge of the creek. He felt to blame. It was his master who was causing this trouble, and he couldn't do anything to stop it. Every time he arrived back to where the fish were waiting, they'd be looking at him with wide, hopeful eyes. "I'm sorry, I can't see anything over there. It's too muddy," said Shaggles. "It's okay, Shaggles," Bob blopped Flugia. "This isn't your fault. We just have to wait and see if Petrookio can find him. There's nothing else to do." And the 3 fish turned towards each other with their faces touching and stopped flapping their fins, which is the fish way of saying that they do not want to boblop anymore. Shaggles didn't want to go home that evening. He couldn't bear to sit at his master's feet and hear about how happy he was with his day's work. Shaggles climbed out of the river, shook himself off, and went and curled up beneath a tree. He crossed his paws, one over the other, lay his head on them, and watched the edge of the pipe, just in case. Shaggles must have nodded off a little while before sunrise. He woke up thinking he'd heard someone calling his name. He thought he had heard his name called twice from 2 different directions and from 2 different sounding voices. First light was filtering through the trees and casting gentle dancing shadows on the creek. Shaggles rubbed a paw over his eyes. He must have imagined it. But no, there it was again, his name being called. He sat up, alert now, and called out, "Hello? Shaggles! Shaggles!" The voice was coming from the edge of the pipe. The pipe had sucked up so much water overnight that it was no longer fully submerged in the creek, and there was a big wide gaping hole above the water level. Even so, the pipe was still humming and sucking, humming and sucking. The voice was coming from the open part of the pipe, and as Shaggles got closer, he could see a claw gripping onto the rim of the pipe. "Petrookio, is that you?" he called. "Yep." "Are you okay?" "Yep, I got Julep, but he's sick. I need help." Shaggles by this time was at the edge of the pipe, and he could see little Petrookio clinging to the rim with one claw, and with the other he was cradling Julep against the current so that he wouldn't be sucked back up the pipe. Julep looked green and seemed to be sleeping. "Julep, are you all right?" called Shaggles. "Feel awfully awful," moaned Julep in response. Petrookio waggled his feelers. "I can't let him go. He's too sick to swim and he'll get sucked up again. Hurry up, Shaggles. My claws are getting tired." "What do I do?" asked Shaggles, confused about how he could help. "Take him down the river to where the others are," squeaked Petrookio in a strained voice. "How do I do that?" "Don't know. Just do it. I'm going to let go any second." Just as Petrookio's strength gave out and Julep was about to be sucked back up the pipe, Shaggles reached out one paw and scooped Julep down the pipe and took him in his jaws as gently as he could. Julep flip-flopped a little, but he had no energy to fight, which was lucky for him, or Shaggles would have lost his grip and dropped him on the bank. Shaggles bounded downstream as quickly as he could to where Julep's family were, put his head under the water and let go of Julep. Julep didn't flap his fins or swim away, but just floated, being moved only by the current. Flugia, Palala and Gloogly were around him in a flash of bubbles. Julep, wake up, you're back, he's back, why isn't he moving? He's dead, is he dead? Petrookio, Shaggles, dead, you've killed him. Who killed him? He's not dead, he's just very sick. Being in the dam has made him ill. Petrookio saved him. He's been holding Julep away from the pipe's current all night, and then I had to carry him down here from the pipe. He's been out in the air for about 20 seconds. You should be able to wake him up. He talked to me before, Shaggles explained to the desperate fish. The fish started nudging Julep and slapping him with their tails. Julep, wake up, it's us, it's me, it's Flugia, Palala, Gloogly, come on Julep, wake up. After churning the water into a frenzy of bubbles around him, Julep gave a faint flip of a fin and rolled his eyes. Go away, he bob-lobbed. I feel awfully awful. Leave me alone. He's alive, yippity, alive, very good, yes, but sick, yes, sick, what do we do now, what now? Shaggles thought for a moment. Well, we have to work out what has made him sick and find a way to help him. I know, squeaked a little voice from underneath Shaggles. Shaggles looked down to see Petrookio's claw sticking out of the mud. Oh, there you are, Petrookio. Are you okay now? Have your claws recovered? Asked Shaggles. Sure, said Petrookio and waved them about in Shaggles' face. Got a sore claw? Nothing more? Flugia, Gloogly and Palala swam up to Petrookio. Thanks for bringing Julep back. Yes, thank you. No probs, shrugged Petrookio. Want me to tell you what's wrong with him? What? What's wrong with him? What is, Petrookio? Help us, please. Yes, please help us. In the dam, it's muddy and stinky, and there's no current and not enough oxygen. Julep couldn't breathe properly. He's been suffocating, announced Petrookio. Suffocating? Bob-lobbed the fish all at once. Suffocating? Said Shaggles, surprised. I thought fish suffocated when they were out of the water, not when they're in it. Everyone's got to have oxygen, squeaked Petrookio. Even river folk. There's oxygen in the water that we breathe in the river because of the current, but there's not much oxygen in those dams. How do you know all this, Petrookio? Asked Shaggles. I'm a yabby. Well, I never knew yabbies were so smart. Now you do, replied Petrookio and stuck his head back in the mud. Gloogly suddenly stopped flapping his fins around Julep's face and floated still, his eyes bulging. What is it, Gloogly? Asked Shaggles. You look like you're about to pop. Gloogly turned toward Shaggles and started bob-blopping as fast as he could. When I was little, when I was a young fish, I got stuck in a little pond, and I got sick like Julep. And then my mum and dad took me downstream, down to the river to where the river meets the sea. Because there's lots of oxygen where the river meets the sea. It's good for you there, like a health farm, and I got better, much better. That's what we need to do then, cried out Flugia. We need to take Julep downstream to where the river meets the sea. To where the river meets the sea, river to the sea, they bob-blobbed together. The three fish made a semicircle around Julep and put their noses against his limp body. They started flapping their fins vigorously and began to head downstream. And that's the end of episode 5. In episode 6, Shaggles, Petrookio and all the fish take an adventure down to the sea. Catch you then. Bye.